Hi guys, Dave in Texas here, and what you see in front of you at the moment is my Line 6 Spider 4 75 watt modeling amp. The only problem is that it's broken. Okay, if you've seen the previous video, you know why. And what I've got set up now in my office is a backdrop to do some cutting on this wood so it doesn't get everywhere. Alright, so all the sawdust doesn't get all over my floors. I would normally do this in my shop, but it's almost July and it's hot as hell in my shop right now. It's like 95 degrees out there as compared to 72 degrees inside my office. What choice would you make? Anyway, on the first video I explained all the problems with this amp, trying to get the brain out to do some simple repairs to it, and my frustration trying to contact Line 6 for some help and not getting any. And originally I wanted to go ahead and just cut down this line here that you see right here to free up this joint, right? I started thinking, well, wait a minute, that's not going to open up the bottom part of that joint, and I'll still have to pry that thing open and put a lot of shock to it. So my alternative is to score a line here, right, go below the joint and just cut this thing free and get the brain straight out. Just pull it, just right out, as compared to trying to save the box itself. I may be able to do that, I may not. It depends on how good a cut I can get on this. And I'll probably end up using a hand tool to do this with, like a coping saw, or maybe even a finishing saw to cut through this. Be careful about it, because I don't want to put a lot of shock to this if I can keep from it and try to save the brain itself. But as it sits right now, it's totally useless to me, so I thought, well, why not try to do something to save it. I've got a brain worth about $100, and before I decided to spill lemonade down it, it was working just fine, and it's not more than a year old. So like I said before, the problem is it's mounted such that you can't get it out without doing this, it looks like. I've tried all the alternatives. It's not coming out, it's not budging, because it's attached to this plate here, this thick metal plate. Let me zoom in on that. That is actually screwed to the brain itself, and then it actually attaches to this speaker box joint, and the top joint here is 4 screws into it, and it's just not moving. No matter what I've done to try to get it loose, it's not moving. So it looks like they permanently glued this thing into position and just left it that way. That was their mounting idea, trying to make it permanent. Not the best when it comes to servicing this amp, but anyway, once I get these cuts made, I'll cut this side, flip it, after I draw me a line to follow, and I'll cut the other side and flip it, and I'll remove the top of the brain and let you see how it's actually attached inside. Give you an idea of what you may have to cope with if this happens to you too. And what I strongly recommend is that you get some old sheet or backdrop like this one, if you're going to do it inside, and definitely cover up everything and keep the sawdust at a minimum. Alright, something to catch it all with. Okay, so this will be a continuing video as I go, and I'll let you know how it happens after I take the brain out and let you know where it's actually attached. Maybe I can figure out how to remove it without doing this for anybody in the future. So stay tuned. Okay guys, here it is. It's out of the cabinet, thank God, finally. And I didn't use a handsaw, I broke down and used the Dremel. My wife just got me. Good old sugar britches. And what I did, I cut below that joint on this, right? So actually I can put a little piece in there to take up that space that's created by the cut, and use this to just basically glue it back down in position on top of the board itself and mount it back where it was. It's a nice clean cut. Look at that. Just clean up those edges there. Let me show you this real quick. See that? I pried it a little bit when it got real close. The Dremel didn't have enough depth to the diameter of the cutting blade that I had, so I got a little rough there on that one. But the other one's just a clean cut. So I'll file that down, I'm left with really two nice flat straight edges. Alright, see most of this? And I'll come back in there, add a shim to this, right? I'll add a shim to where I cut it. Alright, take up what I sawed away and put it right back where it came from. Now, inside of this, I don't know if you can see this or not with this camera, but you can see where the actual I don't know if you can see it or not. You can see where it all dripped, right? And it did get everywhere. See those little marks, these holes here? My fingers are kind of pointing to. See that right there? Those stain marks on the silver part? That is sugar water that spilled all over this thing. Alright? It came all across here. It's on the inside of this. You can see it. It's kind of stain right there. It's across the bottom of this as well. I don't know if you can see that or not, but yep, quite a bit of that sugar water got in there, guys. So this would have been a nightmare if I turned it on. It would have just blown it all to bits, I'm pretty sure. But all that on the silver part, a little mark right there, below that little red diode right there, that sugar water is dried up. And it's over here on the power source as well. Sugar water, oh boy. So it looks like a good 2 or 3 tablespoons of it dripped down into the cabinet, into the brain itself, which means I will be taking this center board out and cleaning that up as best I can, and get all that sugar water out of there as a conductor, and checking the bores for it as well. Clean up the power source, get the sugar water off of it, the dried crystallized part of it, and of course check both bores, make sure there's nothing left on it. But it looks like the main drip took place here in the middle, where I don't know if you can see it or not because the way this thing's this camera's working, but right here above where my finger is on the silver, there's a bunch of sugar water dried there. I can see. You can see that or not. Maybe not, but there you go. Now you can see it. See where that kind of yellowish look? Well, that's sugar water. And it's spilled all over this board right here you're looking at. These 2 big posts here. See this? Alright. So, that means some work's going to have to be done to clean this up before I can actually use it again. And what I'll do for this, what I'll do to it is actually go in there and disassemble it, clean it up with some cleaning solution and some Q-tips, right? Or actually some non-lint cloth, and reassemble it, and basically you'll see it as it is with the speaker attached, and I'll hook in the power source to it and the guitar so we can't get this thing to play again. Alright, so the mounting of it, it turns out that basically 6 screws, 1 counter screw, and glue. Okay, that's what kept this thing in place, as well as you'll see these 2 little boards down here. There's one on each side. I don't know if you can focus on that. It's directly below. Let's see if I can show that to you. Got my ruler. Got a scale here. I think I can point to it, maybe make it more visible. It's on the drop cloth. Now, where this adhesive stops here, right? There's a board there that you couldn't actually pull the brain down far enough to clear up that screw and pass that and disassemble that glue. So all I need to do is just take the board out, and which is what I did. And it's going to mean a lot more work. But in the future, what I suggest you do is take a nice long pry bar, right? Or a chisel like this, and chisel along the edges where it's attached, right? And glued this. And try to free it up and then pass that one tiny little mounting screw. Okay? So that's what got me stumped. Plus, it wasn't being pushed forward because of this plate being notched into the board that holds the speaker, right, and the speaker cloth, and these 4 screws that you see here. These red top screws I kept talking about. if I could have gotten those out, I think I could have got this out without taking the board top off. But as it sits, it's another project to do, and it's something fun to work with. And mainly I think I'll save my modeling amp from the trash heap. And I might end up building a new cab for it, who knows. But in the meantime, it's time to disassemble it, get all that gooey sugar water out of there, and learn the lesson the hard way. Never ever put sugar water on top of an amp that's got the screws missing to the handle where it can drip something into it, basically. Right? And there's what it is. Okay? So I think I did save myself an amp by doing this, because basically if I turned it on, I'm pretty sure it would have fried it. Any questions about this, give me a holler. I think my next video will show you with the amp reassembled, well actually with the parts reassembled to the brain itself, right? And I'll put the speaker to it and plug it in, let's hear it, see what it works or not. Okay, so hang in there. Okay, everything clean and back in its place as far as the lid's concerned. And like I said, I may be able to just simply sand this cut I made and put this lid right back on with some glue and a few mounting screws, maybe a bracket or two, and make it look like it never happened, you know. But I think I may order some different Tolex, like maybe a blue or red or something really wild to go on this thing, to make sure, and whoever gets a hold of it, maybe later on if I sell it, that they know it's been modified, right? I don't want to try to make it back exactly the way it was, because it has been modified quite a lot. Anyway, I did put the handles back on. Thanks guys for reminding me to do that. I put the handle back on for sure. What I should have done is sealed this thing with some type of sealant to keep any type of moisture from coming through. But in the meantime, before the Tolex goes back on it, I will make sure not to put any little more lemonade on top of it. You know, it's like, damn, that was stupid. Okay, so we're just about there. I'm going to flip this thing over, and the next cut of this video, you'll probably see it playing, or it won't be playing, one or the other. Okay, well, I got everything back together again. Basically, I've just got the lid just placed on top of the cab right now. I will still need to level that out some. There's still a gap there, if you can see that at the very top. There's that gap at the edges of the cabinet. But everything's back together again and all cleaned, and well, as clean as I can get it. And damn, our housekeeper's vacuuming, so it's going to pick it up. Anyway, it's all back together again, guys. Time to plug it in and see if it works, or kills me, one or the other. But what I'm going to do, guys, if you do this yourself, first of all, the thing you need to do is get you an isolation strip like this one, right? Thank you. Unplug everything and basically, you know, have only this plug going into it, the rest of them all out and gone, so you don't just blow up everything in between. Okay, and this would actually blow a fuse quicker just with that one plug in there if there's a problem with it, right? Okay, the moment of truth. I've got this thing separated out, right? Take a look, all by itself on a breaker, right? Just in case it screws up and blows our fuses. All right, I want to blow that one to that strip. And everything's back together on it except for the Tolex that's missing from it now, and of course the place I've cut. And the moment of truth is here. We're going to see what actually happens when I throw the power switch, so beware. Ooh. Ooh, so far so good. Aha. Well, it doesn't seem like it's going to short out anytime soon. A little problem here, this plastic needs to be popped back behind this on and off switch. It's a little more difficult. I may take the switch out and off. But anyway, it looks like I need to put the knob back on. Right? It looks like it's running. Okay, next test is to plug a guitar in and see if this thing's going to work or not, right? So I'm just going to grab the first one handy, and this is this little jazz box I've got sitting here. So you find the plug. This is my little 355. Ooh, that's a little tight. Let's put it on the clean channel. Let's turn the volume up. It works! Isn't that amazing? I think on about a 3. And it's working. So guitar's out of tune. What's new? So, next step on this project, guys, we'll get the TUH ordered in since it's working, right? And I'll go through the presets, see if they're all working, see any problems with the software, which I don't think there will be. And next video will be showing how to TUH your amp. Okay? Any questions about this project, give me a holler. Dave in Texas. Bye.